So Joe Life Alert Biden made an impassioned plea to progressives to come out and vote for him, which I'm pretty sure has nothing to do with the polls out, showing Donald Trump closing that wide lead margin he had over him. Even after the middle finger barrage he and the Democratic establishment continues to throw at the progressives in the party in the form of voting against Medicare for all and marijuana legalization and the DNC platform, Biden himself vowing to veto Medicare for all, even if it miraculously passed in the Senate.
I'd also like to ask you this. This pandemic has exposed, as I've mentioned, so many weaknesses in the healthcare system. Um, uh, the most vulnerable, often Black and Brown communities, have been handling much of the financial burden. Before the pandemic, you were against comprehensive single-payer system. Now, if Medicare for all came across your desk as the pandemic has hit so hard, would you veto it?
It's not going to come across my desk, but look, the pandemic has not only torn through our nation, devastating families and wrecking economies, it's exacerbated some of the worst inequities. I'm going to fight for health equities, but you don't need the quickest way to get that is for Black and Latino Americans to have access to the Obamacare with a public option. That's the quickest way we can get everybody covered.
But hasn't this pandemic and the tsunami of layoffs shown the limits of private health care that is tied to employment?
No, it hasn't.
To choosing a former top cop with a horrible record of throwing nonviolent offenders, mostly black men, in prison at a disproportionate rate to use them as slave labor on behalf of her donors, the prison industrial complex, as his VP during a time of anti cop and police reform sentiments across the country. Great strategy, bro. But this vote entitlement exuding off of Joe Bingo Night Biden is indicative of the overall Democratic Party's attitude of entitlement to our votes, especially people of color. Much like in 2016, when Hillary Clinton declared she kept hot sauce in her bag, instead of declaring she'd vowed to fight for universal health care or rolling back the prison industrial complex that her and her husband ushered in with the 94 crime bill along with Joe Biden, or ending costly, meaningless regime change wars that her and Biden also voted for. But nah, Joe Biden's going to follow the same playbook as 2016. Also, during the 2016 election, Barack Obama was pushing TPP, aka NAFTA on steroids, another shitty trade deal that fucks over American workers, at the top of his lungs, while Hillary Clinton flip flopped her support on it. And Donald Trump beat her over the fucking head with it over and over and over again. If only there'd been a Democratic candidate whose stance on trade outlifted Donald Trump's. Guess that's too much to ask for, though. But instead of blaming Hillary for failing to inspire voters with tangibles instead of Trump fear mongering, much like Joe Biden is, everything from Russia to Bernie Bros, Susan Sarandon, Jill Stein, sexism to fucking Harambe were on a long list of reasons why she lost to a reality TV show star. And the Democratic Party made similar excuses when they barely beat a literal pedophile in Roy Moore. Black people, specifically black women, flocked to the polls to push Doug Jones to victory, much like they did Joe Biden during the primary, only to have Doug Jones turn around and vote for a bill that strips away the requirement for banks to report demographic data for loans, which makes it damn near impossible to point out and address the banking industry's discriminatory practices. So I'll reiterate the obvious fact that the Democratic Party not only demands your vote in exchange for nothing, they demand your vote in exchange for fucking you over. And progressives like Bernie Sanders, AOC, Ro Khanna, and the rest of the squad consistently addresses the systematic issues plaguing working class Americans, but continue to pledge their votes to the status quo Joes of the world, who offer nothing in return and oftentimes are directly responsible for these systemic issues they advocate about. But instead of having some balls and calling these corrupt leaders out for their fuckery, they elect to sheep herd their constituency into voting for a party that vows to fuck them over. So in closing, I'll put it as simply as I can. If you want my vote, you come fucking earn that shit. If you vow to oppose the policies that I, along with most of the voting base in your party and most of the country wants, according to polling data, I'm not fucking voting for you because you are a corrupt piece of shit serving your pedophile donors and not the people. And anyone who wags their finger at people voting third party or not voting at all and continues to support and put these corrupt assholes first while they put you last, you are a fucking chump. And if you don't want to take my word for it, you should probably take this guy's.
You can see that the Negro vote is the key factor. And despite the fact that you are in a position to be the determining factor, what do you get out of it? The Democrats have been in Washington, D.C. only because of the Negro vote. They've been down there 4 years. And all other legislation they wanted to bring up, they brought it up and gotten it out of the way, and now they bring up you. And now they bring up you. You put them first and they put you last. Because you're a chump. The party that you bash controls 2/3 of the House of Representatives and the Senate, and still they can't keep their promise to you. Because you're a chump. Anytime you throw your weight behind a political party that controls 2/3 of the government, and that party can't keep the promise that it made to you during election time, and you're dumb enough to walk around continuing to identify yourself with that party, you're not only a chump, but you're a traitor to your race.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to like disagree with Malcolm X. So yeah, just wanted to give my quick thoughts on, just the logic of this vote blue no matter who crowd, because it's like, look, you're never going to catch me shaming people to vote for a certain person, or shaming people. Like, I'm not going to shame somebody who votes for Joe Biden. Like, I'm going to question, like, if you actually know the history of Joe Biden and you would go vote for him because the things you advocate for, he's starkly against and has contributed to the opposite. But I'm never going to shame somebody for their vote. But when I see, people shaming people that, just are disillusioned with the government and see no point in voting, or want to start a third party or want to vote for a candidate that actually represents their ideology, or not feel like shit voting for somebody. You're not supposed to come out of the polling booth feeling like shit. Like, the way politics works is that a politician comes out and gives their ideology on how they want to change shit. And if you don't fucking like it, you don't vote for them. So it's like this whole like vote blue thing is, it's not new, especially within the black community. For years, it's always, vote Democrat because Republican bad. Now it's like Trump is the ultimate evil. But it's like, you guys like have systematically rehabilitated, the legacy of George Bush to the point where he could go dance on Ellen's show. Shout out to Ellen getting her show canceled. But to having John Kasich over fucking AOC talk, they give AOC 60 seconds, but John Kasich gets this whole long speech. A guy who's been for crushing unions and also has been anti-woman when it comes to abortion and shit like that. So it's like, whatever. But yeah, that's all I got for you guys today, though. I'll stop ranting. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, and share. Hop in the comments section, definitely. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know if I'm tripping or not. Go to the American Autopsy Twitter. Talk to me there. You feel me? Talk to me. The American Autopsy Facebook page. Wherever you can reach me, just talk to me, because I want to hear you guys' voice. And yeah, thanks for tuning in again. Peace.